Let's talk about Twilight, 2009, a film that, for reasons that still baffle many, became a cultural phenomenon. Directed by Catherine Hardwicke and based on Stephenie Meyer's novel, is what happens when you take a supernatural romance, remove the charm, and add 2 hours of dead-eyed stares and awkward dialogue. If you're wondering what it's like to watch a slow-motion car crash, you could just watch this movie, except the car crash would have more chemistry than the leads. Let's begin with Bella Swan, played by Kristen Stewart. Bella is supposed to be your average high school girl, but she spends the entire film looking like she's being held hostage by her own script. Stewart's performance ranges from vacant to mildly concerned, but it's hard to blame her. Bella, as a character, has the personality of a soggy piece of cardboard. She moves through life as if gravity is a personal attack. The girl falls down so often that it's hard to tell if she's in love or just concussed. Then there's Edward Cullen, played by Robert Pattinson, a 100-year-old vampire with the emotional depth of a damp sponge. Edward doesn't walk, he broods, and he broods hard. It's as though someone told Pattinson the key to playing a vampire was looking like you just ate bad seafood. The love story between Edward and Bella is supposed to be epic, but their interactions feel more like two people silently regretting sitting next to each other on a long bus ride. They exchange a few cryptic lines, stare at each other like they're about to throw up, and boom, eternal love. The famous "You're a Vampire" scene should be a pivotal moment, but it's hard to get on board when Edward's grand reveal is that he sparkles like he fell into a vat of glitter. Vampires have long been portrayed as dangerous, seductive creatures, but not here. Here, they're glorified disco balls with self-esteem issues. Edward doesn't drink human blood because he's a vegetarian vampire, meaning he hunts animals instead. This is never explained, but let's assume it's because drinking human blood would make him less sparkly. And while we're on the subject of vampirism, Edward has the audacity to say that he's the world's most dangerous predator. If that's true, then the animal kingdom is in serious trouble. Edward is about as intimidating as a wet napkin. He drives a Volvo, for crying out loud. The guy has a skincare routine that involves hiding from the sun, and yet we're supposed to believe he's a terrifying monster? It's like being scared of a kitten with a diamond collar. Now, let's talk about the pacing of this masterpiece. The film drags itself through 122 minutes of gloomy forests, awkward silences, and long stares. Every interaction between Bella and Edward feels like it was edited in slow motion to emphasize their lack of chemistry. At times it's unclear whether they're in love or if they just both suffer from low blood sugar. It's rare for a romance film to have two leads so incapable of generating any romantic tension. Their relationship plays out like a high-stakes staring contest and nobody wins. The supporting cast doesn't fare much better. Jacob Black, played by Taylor Lautner, makes a few brief appearances to foreshadow the eventual love triangle. For now though, Jacob is mostly there to stand around in his long wig, waiting for his moment to take his shirt off in the sequel. The Cullen family is introduced as a group of high-fashion vampires who look like they were hired for a Calvin Klein photo shoot instead of a movie. They are all impossibly good-looking and equally forgettable. The highlight of the film, the scene that truly encapsulates his genius, is the vampire baseball game. The Cullens, for some reason, love baseball. And because they're vampires, they can only play during thunderstorms. Watching this group of vampires swing bats like they're auditioning for a Nike ad while dramatic music plays is nothing short of ridiculous. There's no explanation for why these immortal beings who've lived for centuries have decided that baseball is their sport of choice. But hey, maybe the immortality gets boring. The villain subplot is so thin it barely registers. We're introduced to James, a vampire who hunts humans for sport, but his motivations are about as developed as a backstory for an extra in a bad action movie. He exists solely to create a third-act conflict, which is wrapped up in the most anticlimactic battle scene ever filmed. Watching Edward fight James is like watching two mannequins knock each other over. There's more tension in a toddler's pillow fight. In the end, is a bizarre, emotionless slog that somehow became a cultural touchstone. It's a movie that wants to be a dark romantic fantasy but ends up being an exercise in patience. The film is filled with nonsensical choices, from its dead-eyed characters to its sparkly vampires, all while taking itself so seriously that it borders on parody. If you're looking for a film that will leave you questioning everything you know about love, vampires, and human interaction, is the movie for you. Just don't expect to feel anything except mild confusion. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Quirky Critic signing out.